Welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show. My name is Mark, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Link. And today we got a special guest from McKeen's Hockey, Felix Sicard. How's it going, my friend?
It's going well. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the flawless pronunciation of my last name. Some people don't even try when I go on podcasts, so I appreciate it. Great job.
Wow, thank you. Starting off on a good note then. That's always nice. So today, actually, we are going to be talking about the top QMJHL prospects for the 2026 NHL Draft class. But as always, we're going to talk a little shop, a little hockey. Anyone see any outstanding games or prospects this weekend?
Not in person, but again, that Miami of Ohio train is rocking, and at the front of that train is our boy, or I'd say my boy at this point, Ilya Mrazov. I'm specifically covering the U.S. region, and he's someone who's really jumped high in my board this year. He's just been very, very strong. Big, strong kid, scoring a ton of points. Plus, one of the young. Actually, he is the youngest kid in college this year. He's been looking great. I've been a huge fan of him. I've been a huge fan of that Miami team too. It's a great reflection of the ever-increasing strength of the NCHC. So big on them. So I love that.
Actually, I went out to the NTDP this weekend to see Muskegon, and was hoping to see Tynan Lawrence, but he had a foot injury. Actually, I got to talk to him.
He didn't play. I was going to watch that game thinking he was going to play, but I guess not.
You were just as surprised as I was when I walked into the place and didn't see him in the lineup. I'm like, what's going on? But I told Link, I saw him in the crowd, talked to him. He said he's got this like nagging foot injury, and that just precautionary more than anything. Just wants to get it to 100% before he hits the ice again. So, so you know what? Didn't get to see him play, but got to talk to him in the crowd. So that was a fun event.
It's like you're big leaguing him. It's huge. He's like, oh my god, this could be Pittsburgh. I need to be on my best behavior.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think he did think that for a second there, because I approached him. I said, "Oh, how's the foot feeling there? How you know what's going on?" Eh? So then he was kind of
nothing to see here.
Like, oh, it's not bad. Trust me, it's not bad. I'll be back.
100%. I'm just. I don't know why I'm sitting.
It's like Caden Lindstrom's medicals at the combine.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be 100%. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So you know what? Unfortunately, didn't get to see him play. Looking forward to that, but I got a bunch of good games coming up. Although obviously on the NTDP there's a couple of players. Look, Shire, yeah, he looked actually really good. Had a goal and assist, and was pretty stand out-ish, I guess you could say, on the ice. And Mickey Burchild flying out there. Right?
Or Mickey,
I like his game. If he was just a little bit bigger, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
he's got a good got good pace. He's all over the ice. He's not afraid of the corners. I was really impressed with his game. Anyone
Mark,
else?
Over here in America, we know how to produce defensemen, man. Luke Shire, he looks really good. I'm serious. I'm a big fan of him. So
yeah, he looked good against Muskegon, and Muskegon's a pretty decent team too. Actually, they ended up losing, but
reigning champs.
What's that?
Yeah. Reigning
champs. Yeah, reigning Cup champs. Yeah, so that's a pretty decent team for sure. So yeah, but today, like I said, we are going to talk about the top Q prospects for this draft class. And before we started, I want we're going to let Felix fire off this thing, but I just posted this on X, and it shows the top producing CHL points per game.
Wow. For
the draft class. And if you look at the Q's, got some nice representation there. Vlasov, Shilov, and my boy Villeneuve is the top D in the entire CHL. So you know what? We're going to talk about a few of these guys now. Felix, who's the top guy? Who do you like the most out of the Q right now?
I mean, it's not a hot take. I don't have much creativity here for you, but Xavier Villeneuve is just you can't not like this guy, and it's very difficult to find anyone in the QMJHL or, I mean, heck, even the CHL, like a higher upside player, just with his skating, his kind of flawless mechanics, his speed, his quick twitch agility, the hands. I mean, you've got it up here. Like, he's got everything. He's the headliner of the QMJHL. He's arguably the headliner of the CHL as a whole. Like, he is on a different level. And, it's funny because people compare him to Lane Hudson a lot. and rightfully so. But he's better than Lane Hudson was at this age, so very excited about him, and just can't get enough of this guy, really.
I like the better than Lane Hudson. Oh baby, the Montreal Canadian fans are gonna come on. You know what? I've been saying he is Lane Hudson-esque, for sure. Like, come on.
It's two sides of the same coin here. Looking at Lane Hudson and then looking at Xavier Villeneuve, he's been fantastic for an honestly fantastic Blainville-Boisbriand team. The Armada are chugging along here in the Q, and I would even argue that right now, Xavier Villeneuve could be their best player, aside from actually better maybe than Justin Carbonneau is right now. They've all been cooking. They've been a very good, very great standardly good team. I can't wait to see what the rest of his year looks like. Does he even make camp for a World Juniors Canada team, which is going to have a lot of eligible players in the NHL? Just stuff to think about. As for his long-term projection, for kind of a question to you, Felix, as well. He's 5'11", which, again, we talk about like defensemen and height being a huge, huge thing for them. Not a single defenseman was drafted under the height of 6 foot last year with, again, huge asterisks around Cameron Reed. But does that worry you at all for, honestly, two of some of the top 6 defensemen with Ryan Lynn and especially Xavier Villeneuve? Will you see him drop because of that, despite how brilliant he's been?
It's a great question, and I do think that it's going to be interesting how much the NHL scouts and front offices either overcorrect or stick to status quo with what happened with a guy like Lane Hudson, where he went 62nd overall, and in a redraft he would go higher. Let's just put it that way. So I think he will still drop a little bit, relative to what he's doing production-wise and how we feel about him, just because he is sub 6 foot. He also is not a great defender. He makes some mistakes. He gets pushed off pucks. I'm not worried about it because those are the things that are going to improve. But compared to a guy like Ryan Lynn, who I do think will slide more, Villeneuve has that kind of elite ability. He has that elite thing that you can hang your hat on, and that is the skating, that is the offensive creativity. It's shades of Quinn Hughes at times, like the way that he moves. And whereas with Lynn, it just, you don't see those flashes. He's still a great prospect. But yeah, so I think that to answer your question, that the size will play a factor, but I just don't know how much further down you can go down the board. And at a certain point, how far down can you go and justify passing up on that upside? That's going to be the question.
I think a good gauge for Xavier Villeneuve would probably be like an Axel Senden-Pellikka from a couple of years ago. He was obviously the best skater in that draft, in my opinion. And he falls all the way down to 16, 17, wherever he fell. And now he's in the lineup full time for Detroit and has looked great. I think that's kind of the mark that he may slot into, unless he goes insanely Super Saiyan, kind of keeps on this monster pace that he's been on right now. But yeah, that's Xavier Villeneuve. He's a very exciting case, to be fair. Very, very exciting case. But he's not the only first rounder, though, in the queue.
Yeah, well, you know what though, the thing with Xavier is that this year I think that he's moving at a different level, like in terms of the confidence with the puck on his stick. Last year I thought he was really good. This year he is like a monster, like dynamic stick handling when he wants to decides to engage, basically. And it is exciting to watch, that's for sure. Now, in terms of like the point production, I mentioned the table. So he is 8th right now in CHL points per game. 17 games, 22 points, 1.29 points per game. That is a defenseman that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, the production is increasing year to year, and that's exactly what you want to see. And like I said, he is a very dynamic puck mover for sure. It's going to be interesting to see. Like we said, he's sub 6 feet right now. Obviously, it's going to affect his draft ranking. How far he slips will, I guess, depend on what teams are going to take a chance on him, basically. Now, like we said, there's a bunch that are going to be first rounders from the queue. Who would you like to discuss next, Felix?
There's so many guys. I guess that in terms of the headliners, there's the Russian guys playing for Victoriaville, and with Alexei Vlasov and Yegor Shilov and Korneyev, I think that these guys are getting a lot of attention. They're putting up a lot of points, and I think that you really have to be somewhat careful putting too much stock into the points because, for example, you've got Vlasov, who's got 24 points in 14 games, 13 goals. He's clearly got a lot of offense to his game, but he's 5'9". I hate to say that, but like he's 5'9". He doesn't have a ton of pace to his game. He's definitely got quickness. He's got hands. He's got the awareness, but does that match the point production? What the point production would suggest? I'm a little unsure. But then with a guy like Shilov, I think that there's more to his game. You know, he's got the 24 points, but you watch how he skates and how he's able to kind of open up angles and lanes with his mobility. He does the kind of like Mohawk stride, the 10-2. He's got great vision. He's super patient with the puck. I think that, you know, there's a lot more to his game, and I think the production is more kind of telling there. But yeah, those Russians are certainly stealing the show with just the production.
Absolutely. I mean, it also helps too that, again, Yegor Shilov is a natural center as well. I thought he looked great last year in the USHL. I was not expecting him to go this insane at his first few games with the QMJHL. It'll be important to see how he upholds this over a full season. I think it's important to kind of like just use that as a barometer. A lot of players can start really hot in the beginning part of the year, but consistency is what's going to count for these guys, especially in their draft cases. I mean, it's no secret that right now, I'm not diminishing the Q as a league as a whole, but no,
here we go.
Point totals have not been valued as much as, say, in the other leagues, like in the OHL and the Dub. That hasn't restricted the quality of talent that has come out of the Q at all. Like last year, we saw, I would say, one of the most talented Quebec classes like in a while with Carbonneau and Zonon. But it'll be extra tricky this year because of just, again, we want to see how they do over a long-term sample size, especially when two of the biggest scorers on the forward side are on the same team. Another forward I wanted to highlight, I kind of actually want to get your full opinion on Oleg Kulebyakin from Halifax as well, because he seems like he could be one of those guys that has a really hot start on a team that's kind of fresh and hungry, but he has 12 goals. I've really liked his game so far as well. And then again, there's also we're getting away from the Russians, Maddox Dagenais as well.
Yeah. With Kulebyakin, he's a guy that stood out in the top prospects game. I don't know if it's actually called the top prospects game. It's just the prospects game, but it's the top prospects game. And yeah, I really like his game. He's just so. I'm not saying he's going to be like this player, but the style that he plays with kind of reminds me of Kucherov a little bit, where he's just so patient with the puck. He's so good at protecting the puck along the boards, and he's got so much poise with it. He's got a nose for the net. He sets people up. Obviously, he can put up goals too. Like he's a guy who's very intriguing. He's not the biggest, listed at 5'11", but I think that there's a guy here who, if he can kind of pick up his pace a little bit, add some explosiveness to his game, this is a guy who could be a top six forward. And then on the other side of that coin, there's Maddox Dagenais, who I really like as a player. I think that he's very toolsy. He's got good size. He can skate. He's got an ability to strip pucks, to take the puck to the net. He's got a good shot. The question is just more of like, what does that ultimately map to? Is he a top six forward? Is he more of like a top 9, maybe a complementary piece? I think that there's some people that are maybe a little disappointed in his game this season, or his production, or what have you. 10 points in 14 games, and it doesn't quite match the hype that he came into the Q with. But I still think there's a really good prospect here, and he still looks like a first round type player to me. I'm not saying he's going to go in the first round, but just that kind of player. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too gracious with him, but I'm still a fan of the player.
Yeah, you know what? There was high expectations from Dagenais, being first overall in the Q in 2024 there to Quebec. And he is, like you said, 6'3", 200 pounds, centerman, right? And centermen are at a premium in this draft, especially. So, can he make it into the later first round, like you said? And 10 points in 14 games is nothing to scoff at. And, he's even, mentioned limitations of his game and how he needs to improve. And he has shown a little bit more physicality this year, puck protection and stuff like that. So I think there is some learning there. It depends, I guess, how he, finishes off the season, which will decide, I guess, whether or not he's going to be a first rounder or, potentially second rounder.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the offensive upside is the question, but I feel like NHL teams love these kind of players in the 20 to 40 range, right? This is like the classic high floor, maybe lower ceiling type player, but the ceiling is still to be determined. Like, he's still got a full season ahead of him. We don't want to write that off too soon. I have heard those kind of compete concerns a little bit with him, but I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just a poor judge of that, but I don't really see it. I feel like he competes fine. I also just feel like guys like him who were drafted high tend to have maybe more scrutiny than others. So no reason to worry with him as of right now. Those are the top guys. I think that there's a bunch of other players that I really like. The one that's been kind of just popping off the screen for me the last few days has been Benjamin Cossette-Ayotte. He plays for Val d'Or, and he's a right shot D. He's 6'1". He moves well. He moves the puck. He has a little offense to his game. He was in the top prospects game, and that kind of was the first viewing I had of him. And since I've been keeping more tabs on him, and I mean, this looks like a guy who, I'm not saying first rounder, but he looks like a guy who could be in that kind of top 60 mix because, again, right shot, decently tall, 6'1". Like, these are the guys NHL teams tend to like. Now, he has some issues. Sometimes there's some bad turnovers. Sometimes there's moments where he kind of gets knocked off the puck. He's a little gangly. He's a little lanky out there. He's an 08 birthday, so we love that, even though it's January. But he's a little younger, and I'm really excited about him. Not saying he's going to be a star or anything, but just someone who I think can play some games in the NHL. And then, as far as forwards go, some other names. One that gets mentioned a lot is Oliver's Murnieks, and he's. I haven't seen a ton of him, but he looks more to me like a bottom six, maybe a little higher if he adds some more offense to his game. He gets talked about a lot as one of the bigger Q names, but I don't necessarily see a lot of upside there. And then the other one that's unfortunate is Lars Steiner, who got injured to start the season, but you watch this guy play for a period, and it's very hard not to fall in love with this player because he's just such a energizer bunny out there. He's constantly hunting the puck down. It looks like he's running the way he skates sometimes. Like, he just sprints all over the ice. He's got a good nose for the net. He's got a little playmaking to his game as well. I'm a huge fan of him. I don't know if he's necessarily like a top 6 guy, but he looks like a player to me. So yeah, the Q, like you were saying earlier, the Q's got a lot of fun players. I feel like the more you watch this league, sure, maybe the hockey, the overall hockey isn't as good as, the OHL, of course, or other leagues, but there's still a lot of good players who I think can become pros and NHLers down the line.
Absolutely. I mean, echoing your point about Cossette-Ayotte, so he was one of my favorite players earlier on, like in the last year stage. I was like previewing, like, oh, who's in this class?
Oh, nice.
He's just a demon with his skates. I'm a big fan of him, and like, again, puck carrying defensemen. If you can find them, they're very rare to find a quality puck carrying defenseman, and especially one who plays a decent two-way game as well. He does need rounding out for sure.
Yeah,
like, he's somebody who is a little rough around the edges, but again, that is a tale we see all too often with guys 3 to 4 inches taller than him. And again, there's going to be a team that takes a chance on him in the top 60. He's a right shot. He's playing in a top league. I don't see how if he commits to a college this year or next, it's wraps. He might even go like top 40.
That'll help his game a lot if he goes to college.
Sure.
He kind of looks like he needs that a little bit, and because like you said, there's flaws to his game, but the things that are there are really not teachable, and the things that are missing are very teachable. And you put him in college or even just another year in the queue or another year or two, and I think he will improve. So
I think he's going to project as one of those boring two-way defensemen that can just carry the mail, but also shut down at the other end.
Yeah,
I have a personal love for those types of guys. There's a guy at the top of this class named Carson Carrolls who is personally
lefty,
like my
lefty version.
He's coming into being like my favorite defenseman in this class. Not like favorite like as in I think the best, but he's just someone that
he's fun.
fall in love with. Yeah, but you gotta love those guys who can kind of do it all and be a really true two-way player. I think people will be really respecting Cossette-Ayotte's game later on. I don't think that he is fully out of the first round. He's someone who could absolutely climb into it at some point. So for sure.
Yeah, I think that the discussion about the D-men at the top, it seems like, again, I'm just basing this off of like listening to podcasts and stuff, but it feels like people are almost getting less excited about this class. You know, the year started and it was like, oh, this is going to be so much more exciting
every year
than last year. Then people start watching the games or maybe not watching the games and they're like, oh, maybe not. But I'm with you where I think that there's a lot of great defensemen like Carson Carrolls. You don't really hear his name a lot in kind of the more mainstream, but he's up there. Chase Reed is another guy who I just can't get enough of. And yeah, like everyone talks about Keaton Verhoff and rightfully so, but I think that the discussion about top defensemen for the class is pretty open. I mean, there's a lot of contenders. It's not just Verhoff with the bullet at that top spot for defensemen. I mean,
we talked about it earlier with Xavier Villeneuve. I mean, Mark has been a warrior for that little guy for a while.
Love that. Love that.
But, we've also mentioned before, this may end up being one of the better defensive classes we have seen in almost 12 years. Like there's
a lot of guys.
There's a lot of guys to really pay attention to. I fully believe that by January, my top 10 or my top 15 may contain like majority defensemen.
14 defensemen.
Well, you've seen my list. My top 10. I think I got 6D in my top 10 right now. Like, and it's early on. It's early on, but
who are the six?
I'm glad you mentioned Lars Steiner too, because last year, like coming into the season, he was potentially top 15 kind of pick, and unfortunately, like you said, he's got an injury going on, but that Energizer Bunny type player, you know what I mean? So it's going to be, you know what, this year is going to be interesting from all over, basically, because now you got the NCAA creeping in with some of those players that we mentioned earlier, and the Q's looking like a decent draft class again. So lots of fun hockey to watch this year, and it's early. I mean, hey, we're just getting into November there, and still lots of hockey left.
Yeah, lots of hockey, and I think that is a great point because so much of the discussion seems to be, player X is not performing, is not putting up points. I may or may not be talking about the guy playing at Penn State that that might go first overall.
Wait, hold on. We always have the discussion every single year about consistency. There's a guy. I mean, look, we can talk about Gavin Cannon if we want. But there's a guy in the OHL who is not putting up consistent play. That can change as well. There are people that can come off slow starts and then completely change. He's starting
to heat up, though. He's starting to heat up.
Is this Robrick? Just to make sure I'm following. Okay.
I want to posit this for remember last year, Anton Frondel had a horrible start to last year. He was injured. Yeah. He did not look amazing when he came back immediately, and then January 1st flipped a switch, and now he was a top 3 guy. That's how quickly a season can change for our prospects. So keep an eye.
Yeah, and I also just think that the scouting world is big, but it's also small, and it seems like when a narrative starts about a player, it just spreads. And with Robrick with Niagara, that seems to be the case, where it's like, oh, he doesn't compete, he doesn't this, he doesn't that, and then you look down and it's like, wait, hold on, he's over a point per game now. Like, or should we really be freaking out? So all this to say, it's true in every level of hockey, but especially in the draft world, where it's like first month of the season, anything can happen, good or bad. And that doesn't mean that that's what's going to continue. And with these guys, they're so young that they can completely change and improve as the season goes along. Like the guy that really sticks out for me is Ethan Belchez, where I watched him last year a bit, and I watched him at the Holinka, and he was, you can see why people were really excited about him, but I don't know. I just didn't really see like a top 3 guy. But then this year, watching him with Windsor, it's like, oh my gosh, everything has improved. Just up and down the board, everything has improved. The compete, the consistency, the skating, the puck handling, all of it. And yeah, he would be very high on my board right now if I were to have such a board. But yeah,
it's funny
so
you mentioned
guys improve.
It's funny you mentioned Belchev because that's where I live in Windsor, so I see him all the time.
Oh, so you're the expert.
No, I'm not the expert, but you are correct. Last year he was just vanilla. This year he's stepped it up. Definitely. The last game I saw him play against was it Sarnia? Oh my God, he was a man on a mission, and like especially with that size, right? And he's a decent skater. The thing is that he is a decent skater for 6'5", 227 pounds, right? And you got to remember he's just a teenager, and he's still got to grow into his body and get that extra strength, I guess you could say. And the thing with Rubrik, we mentioned that he started in his last 5 games, he's got 9 points. So yeah, things are starting to heat up for some of these players. And like you said, you can't judge too early, especially when we're talking about October. Come January, I think that's like you said, when switches turn, World Juniors, Snuffs, or if they make the team or whatever the case may be, and then you see some kids heat up a little bit and kind of make that push into June. So it's going to be a fun season as always.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to see where this goes, and to bring it back to the queue a little bit. There's so many guys who we'll keep an eye on, see if they can continue the hot start or if they can, build off and flip from a slow start. I mean, heck, going to the USHL, but like we haven't even really seen Tynan Lawrence, and he's still being penciled in around the boards as top 3 best center, all of that. And I'm not saying he won't be, but he hasn't played. So it's like, we'd like to see him play. He was so good last year, and he was even great at the Holinka, that he's definitely got some, some cushion, but like, can we see him play?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I think that covers our discussion for the top QMJHL prospects for the 2026 NHL draft class. Felix, thank you for joining us. We'll get you on in the future, closer to the draft. We'll see where our Q players have evolved or not. And yeah, thanks.
Or
for
if someone
on.
emerges that we haven't even talked about.
Right.
Because that always happens.
So that's for a Russian goalie.
For sure. All right, boys, that's it for this recording. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.